Hey, this is Matt once again. What about 10 videos of the paid requests? This time for Travis. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for Midnight Cowboy from 1969, which is a film that got a lot of critical attention, also some controversy as well. It's directed by John Schlesinger, which he's directed a few other films I've seen. I believe he did The Believers, the Martin Sheen film from the late 80s, which I remember liking. And kind of a horror film, I would say. And then also Pacific Heights, I believe he directed with Michael Keaton, which that's a pretty decent thriller. This one stars John Voight. Later would be in films like Anaconda, The First Mission Impossible, among many other movies. And you have Dustin Hoffman, which I can't remember if he won the Oscar for this. I know he was nominated, but I can't remember if he won the Oscar. Does this did get some Oscars in there? I think it did win Best Picture. I say controversy because this got an X rating, and people thought that was the kiss of death, because it usually is. But then it got some critical buzz and award attention. And so they fine, we'll stick with it because the buzz got people hearing about the film and wondering, well, what is this movie about? What's all the talk about? What are people freaking out about? And then they don't see it. It made quite a bit of money. And to be honest with you, watch the film. There's no reason why it should be X-rated. It would be R-rated, and most would say a tame R. The only reason he got an X rating is because there's a bit where it's insinuated that a guy gives another guy a blowjob, but you don't see anything, you don't hear anything. Like really, no, there's nothing to it. So it's just at the time, even the ratings board, they were very more. If it's something homosexual, oh, they freaked out. Hell, you could almost label. I mean, if a girl did that, the same thing, it would have gotten an R rating. Hypocritical bullshit. But anyway, the story of the film is John Voight is in Texas. He's quitting his dishwashing job. He's going to go to New York because he assumes that he's going to be such a ladies' man. He's going to be a gigolo. He's going to go there and he knows what to do, and women are going to pay to fuck him. But he's not being a dickhead. He's very innocent and naive. He's very nice to people, courteous to people, just a very naive guy. Like he has this dream that would never be reality, but he's naive for optimistic, how you want to put it, for a good chunk of the movie. And I gotta say, overall, I did not mind the film. It's very well directed. There's some really interesting shots from this director and the cinematographer, whether it be how John Voight sticks from the crowd of New York, and he's wearing his cowboy outfit, and the way that the camera work showcases that. There's certain moments, like for example, when he's there, a couple things happen. Ultimately, he meets up with Dustin Hoffman's character, who is Rizzo, but people call him Ratso. He's a con artist. He has a limp, so people call him a cripple and stuff. And Dustin Hoffman's a character that will very much use the word that rhymes with rag, but starts with an F. And very MPC. I'm sure they wouldn't do this stuff today. And there's a bit where it looks like he fucked over John Voight, so John Voight's trying to find him. And the way it's edited, where he's chasing the guy, but he's also imagining what he'd do to the guy. So he's imagining how do I put it? Like he's running on the street, but he's imagining almost this psychedelic way of getting on the subway, and flashes him choking him, and or getting on the subway, finding him, and he's staying in there, and he's staring, and just this flourish of images to really showcase what's going on through the guy's mind, and a quick succession. Just the way it was done, and the pacing of it, it brought a sense of energy to the movie. And that's not the only time it does that, because throughout the film it'll show these flashes that we get a little bit of the backstory of John Voight's character. Like, for example, his mom had abandoned him, he had to live with his grandma. Something might have happened with the grandma, but they don't go detail into it. Just enough for you to infer that she might have done things to him, but they don't go any. They give you enough, but nothing shocking, daring, X-rated or anything. Not in the slightest. Same with that he had this girlfriend, and you get the idea that this whole group of guys had forced themselves not only on her but on him as well. Again, they do it, I think, tastefully enough. Again, considering the controversy surrounding it. But this all kind of goes into the psychology of John Voight's character, where, in a way, because of his mom dumping him, his grandma not being the best influence, his old love, Sally, outside forces took care of that, and she went to a mental ward. This is a guy that really has never found love, or never really had a true friend. Either it was taken away from him, or other things happened. And so in a weird way, this friendship comes about with Dustin Hoffman, in which becomes really the first true friend he ever had, weirdly enough. And again, the way it's constructed, the music choices, like the song "Everybody's Talking." I'm not going to try to sing it because I suck at singing. You just look it up on YouTube. That's a song I've heard many times before seeing this film, but you know, the song works for the movie, works for the opening of the movie. This does have the famous Dustin Hoffman and the guy talking, and a car almost hits him, and Dustin Hoffman goes, "I'm walking here, I'm walking here." Now, Dustin Hoffman says that was ad-lib, so because the car actually did try to hit them, and he tried to stay in character. A scriptwriter, someone said that's bullshit, that was in the script. I don't know. I think John Voight said Dustin Hoffman, his story was right, so I don't know. And this is like the early days of John Voight. This is when this is like one of his early roles, and he would be kind of a leading man for a while. You had Deliverance a few years later, among other stuff, and then in the 80s or so, things kind of died down. To the point that when you got into the 90s, he was either being the bad guy in films like Most Wanted, or I mentioned Anaconda. I didn't even Mission Impossible. Like in the 90s, you need a bad guy, that guy will fit for a bad guy. And I don't even know the last thing he did. I think now he's known as Angelina Jolie's father. But it's a pretty decent character study on John Voight. Like I said, he gets in there, he tries to deal with this woman. Things seem to be going well. They make it. You don't get to see them fuck too much. But you get the aftermath where he's ready to get paid, and she's like, "What? What do you mean pay you?" And she gets so offended, and he freaks out so much that he pays her the fucking money. So that's how in over his head this guy is. Completely in over his head. And then sooner or later, that's where he meets Dustin Hoffman. And Dustin Hoffman does a good job in this. Some may say his performance or his accent's a bit over the top, but like, he seems like a slimy guy, but at the same time, he still becomes a pretty faithful friend to John Voight's character. I wouldn't say he's likable because some of the stuff he says, but it's definitely an interesting character. You get to know a little bit of his backstory. His father was a shoe polisher who died from too much of huffing that shoe polish, and he doesn't want to be like his dad. He's living in the dumps, and not only is this a story of, I would say, two guys that who have their dreams. Again, John Voight being this big gigolo, doesn't often maybe getting to Florida, and maybe someone polishing his shoes for a change and stuff. But they're dreamers that sadly are just way in over their heads, and they deal with the crashing reality. And I guess in a sad way that some of it's relatable because I think that happens a lot more often than not. It's just that as moviegoers, you want to see more of the other, the dreams coming true because you live vicariously through those characters. But as if you said, well, this actor had nothing but $5 in his pocket and he made it, and yeah, that may be true, but there's 100 more stories behind the opposite end where they had $100 or $1,000, and maybe they got some bit parts and then nothing, and then went home and I don't know, worked at Walmart or whatever the fuck the case be, gas station or something. Like I said, I do like the way it's directed, the way the flashes are put in. They don't feel too out of the blue. They feel like they fit the film. I mean, John Voight meets Dustin Hoffman's character, and he's able to hook him up with this guy. But then John Voight realizes this guy is a crazy religious guy. This is how I'm going. And so that makes him flash back to when he was a kid and the overzealous religious, like trying to, I forget what that's called, where you dump him in water and stuff of that nature. Heal, bitch! So he rushes out of there. And that's where as he rushes out of there, he's thinking, oh, I'm going to. That's the thing, you get this visual representation of his anger, his frustration. The visual representation of, I'm going to get on the subway, I'm going to find him, and I'm going to choke him, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to see him over here, he's staring at me over there. Like I said, I didn't mind the visual direction of this movie. And then he's losing money. He doesn't really know what to do. He doesn't really know where to go now because he dropped everything to come here. He didn't have enough money for his hotel anymore, so they kept his shit. So now he has nothing. And so he has this cowboy outfit on, and someone who happens to be gay an offer for him to go down on John Voight, and you see John Voight's not really wanting to, but he does it anyway, doing the theater. And like I said, there's nothing graphic about it. It's literally John Voight's face of just not really liking it, remembering what happened to him and his love back in the day, the movie playing, which is like a rocket ship movie. You get the idea. The rocket ejects. Like, that's all it is. And this guy an X rating. It'd be like an NC-17 or whatever today. It's just ridiculous. And the guy giving the blowjob is Bob Balaban. Yes, the guy who I remember from 2010, the year we made contact. The guy who created the Hell 9000 and joins Roy Scheider and John Lithgow on the trip. And Bob Balaban's done a lot of other stuff as well, but that's the movie I remember him the most from. But I said you look him up, he's done a lot of other stuff. I'm like, is that who I think it is? Oh shit, it is. but the guy can't pay, and John Voight gets pissed. Is like, you better, and he's ready to take the guy's watch, and the guy begs, please, my mom will. I gotta go home. My mom will be crushed if I don't have this watch. And John Voight's like, I don't want your watch, man, and leaves. Now I know before I go on, there's this whole thing of that this is a gay love story and all that. If that's how it's meant to be, or that's how it's you want to go on with it, be my guest, cool. I guess I could see what they mean, but I did look. I guess I looked at it on the surface level of these two guys just being friends, and again they were dreamers that were in over their head, and it does show the New Yorker of that time as well. It does a nice job showing how New York was during that time period and how at times sleazy and at times dangerous the place was. And I talk about like the dreams crashing. Like Hoffman invites Voight to come live with him, and they start to be friends with each other. Where Voight's cooking a bit for the guy. Again, I'm sure because of all that, and you think of all the subtext you want. Sure, be my guest. Sometimes subtext is interesting to me. Sometimes I don't give a shit. This I just kind of like the surface level as well. I thought John Voight and Dustin Hoffman played off each other very well. I thought they had some nice snappy dialogue with each other. I was talking about the idea in the way it's directed, where Dustin Hoffman gets him hopefully another job, and Dustin Hoffman's like thinking about Florida, and everything's going fine, and then he turns and he sees John Voight get slapped by a woman, and it goes back to his dream, and it's crashing down, and people are chasing after him in the dream, and might be too on the nose, but I kind of like that juxtaposition between the two. And then there's a bit where they're invited to a party, and John Voight seems like things are working out well for him. And he goes through this hallucination where he thinks it's a cigarette, but he gets a joint and like all this other hallucinatory stuff. But still seems like things are working out for him. But compared to Dustin Hoffman, people are talking about, well, why are you limping? Because of his squandery, he's not the best hygiene. He's like, oh, just leave me alone. Despite his type of dial he's had earlier, you do feel sorry. Or at least I did feel sorry for Dustin Hoffman's character. And you tell that as the movie goes on, he gets more and more sick, more and more coughing. You know something's up. Spoiler: there is a bit where Voight does get a client, and he can't get it up at first, but then they're playing like Scrabble, and he's like, well, what can I do with the Y? Well, the Y could be at the end. Say, hey. Oh, you know what else? Gay. Is that who you are? And then that gets him fired up to finally have sex with her. Which I know there's a lot of subtext on that, on what it truly means and all that. So everything's working out fine, and he's going to have all these higher aspirations fulfilled. But, spoiler, he sees his buddy Dustin Hoffman sick. I do wish there was even more time of the two of them just hanging out. You do a little bit, but I wish there was a bit more of Dustin Hoffman showing him the city. Like maybe if they, like Dustin Hoffman gave his own version of a tour of New York, and there's a little bit more of them bonding. Maybe them going someplace with a few bucks and eating a bit more, or maybe seeing the Statue of Liberty just as New York or some other big sites of New York. I wish there was a little bit more of them, even more of them bonding as friends. I would like a little bit more of that in the running time. But John Voight sees that his friend's sick. He tries to get another client quick. All that he could get is a guy. But then the guy doesn't want to pay. Or he doesn't want to pay, it's not enough, so he beats it. This I wasn't sure about with this scene. I get the idea is that he's big friends with this one true friend that he's had. Or as the subtext people would say online, the person that he's in love with. So he needs to get him to safety somehow, some way. And Hoffman says, I want to go to Florida. Let's just go to Florida now. So when this guy that John Voight's with can't pay, Voight beats the shit out of him. Now, you don't know if John Voight killed him or not, because he beats him, and then he takes a foam, is put in the guy's mouth, and then it cuts away. And you never know if he killed the guy or not. That, I don't know, it made me like the character less, because the guy he did it to didn't deserve it. Like, he didn't do anything to deserve it. And it just kind of, it rubbed me the wrong way. I don't think that was needed. Like, if it was someone that maybe we saw earlier who's being a dick, and you portray that John Voight would get away from a fight, he wouldn't get into physical altercations. But now that this guy's being a dick, fuck it, I'm gonna do it for my friend, and he beats the shit out of him. And just beat the shit out, doesn't have to kill him. But here, it's like, okay, I don't think this guy deserves it. It's like, I just didn't like that. It made me not like the character as much as I was liking him. Again, I don't think that was needed. I think that was a bit, I don't know. I really don't get the reason for it. I'm sure there's another piece of subtext about it, but I really don't get the reason for that. It's one thing if he punched the guy out, stole it, but then like to, I guess because the guy wouldn't shut up, he like takes the phones, like put it in the guy's mouth. It's like, I don't know, dude. Just leave. Just leave then if that's the case. But then he gets on the bus and try and talk to the guy, to the Dustin Hoffman. There's a piece where he finally throws away his cowboy gears. You could say that he's now growing up. No more of this facade of I'm going to be this John Wayne type of cowboy and I'm going to get all the girls. And maybe he even says, we'll get to Florida. Maybe I'll get a regular job. It's as if he's grown up. He's no longer the cowboy persona anymore. But then his friend dies. And I like the way it's shot where you see the reflection of the buildings. They've gone to Florida, but you see John Voight's face where like he doesn't know what to do next. This is like the only true friend he's had. And there's a bit of a tragic ending to it. But like I said, because he dealt with that one guy before, it kind of loses a bit of its impact. I would just rather not have the scene in there at all. Just have it be he got a good paycheck, he could get more. Now he could use this to further his career, or he could use the money to help his friend, use the money to help his friend. You didn't need that whole scene of him beating the guy up and stealing his money and maybe killing him. You didn't need that. I don't know what the reason for it being. Oh, you're too stupid to get it. Whatever the fuck. I still think it was a well-acted movie. I think they did a good usage of the shooting of New York. Although I do wish they used a bit more like Statue of Liberty type of locations. I think that would have been cool. I think Dustin Hoffman definitely gave a solid performance. Just you looked at The Graduate, then you look at this. Seems like two very different individuals. John Voight, it's not his fault he didn't write the film, but his acting definitely keeps that innocent, naive vibe to it for a good chunk of the movie. Like I said, I would say the movie lost me a little bit with the even probably even before with the party sequence because I thought the party sequence with MD at a high hallucinating. I thought it went on a bit too long. I thought we kind of got the idea. Like, did he need to hallucinate to do all? I mean, it could have just been they got to the party. Hey, let me deal with this girl, and then when he's off doing that, then people could be messing with Dustin Hoffman's character. But yeah, I thought the party stuff went a bit too long. Like I said, I would have taken that running time and showcased more bonding between the two lead guys. Like I said, I don't think you needed him to beat the shit out of the one guy, and I did maybe kill him or not. I don't think that was needed. I mean, I guess maybe you say it's to show its desperation, but I think there's other ways you could have shown it that would have maybe lose not lose respect for the main character. Sort of the little that I had, I guess, because he means well at the beginning. Just it's pretty stupid plan to begin with to just assume, hey, okay, we're all the women. Let's go be a gigolo. But he does have a nice smile and jovial side to him that you almost kind of want him to succeed in a way. So overall, I liked it. I wouldn't say I love it, best movie ever, but I do overall. I like the experience of watching the film. I would say check out the trailer, check out clips, and it's definitely worth a look for the performances, for some of the stylistic directing, for a little bit of the psychology you get to know about the two characters. And there you go. Yeah. So that's Midnight Cowboy. With that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye bye.